Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted on Unchained RPG Review. I am Castle Keeper Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I'm going to do a character class spotlight on the monk. So, the monk is one of those like really interesting character classes. I mean, many people either love them or hate them. Many dungeon masters or game masters or castle keepers choose to either use them or exclude them for a variety of reasons. I think that it's a very interesting character class to play, and while at the same time it's certainly not an easy mode class. It does take a lot of thought on the part of the player and a lot of thought on the part of the game master when you're including a setting with monks and when you're creating adventures that will cater to or utilize or and this goes for the player as well. How are you going to make your monk character kind of fit in to the into the setting and into the character group, the player character group, and playing that out, because in many cases the monk has a very strict um I don't want to just say an alignment. They have to be lawful and that kind of thing, but they tend to be very dedicated to honing their skills, and I mean, that's the whole essence of them. And then sometimes people have a hard time sticking to a very strict dogma kind of role play with their characters. So the monk is certainly a challenging character class to play, and I find it to be intriguing and even exciting to mess around with this class and to give it a real try, and to try to break from some of the stereotypes that you would normally have associated with them. It's not leaping off of the 1970s and 80s kung fu movie kind of depictions solely as that. I mean, it certainly could be if you wanted to, but there are other varieties of monk that you can also utilize. The one thing that this class has never really encaptured is the monk in Western European prediction, which is more closely related to a cleric rather than or a scribe rather than a martial artist. So that's the other thing that sometimes becomes confusing for either game masters or players as well. How do I get this to kind of fit? Um, and I think ultimately over time, they certainly, whether it be, TSR and Gary Gygax, when the monk was introduced to Dungeons and Dragons, eventually started to realize that, they didn't quite have that blend done correctly. So let's take a look at the character class as it's presented in Castles and Crusades. So the monk is a constitution based class. Adventuring is fraught with danger, and most heroes gird themselves with weapons and armor. There are those, however, who reject steel and iron when entering the fray. They instead rely upon their bodies and minds for survival and combat, honing themselves into unbreakable weapons of war. The monk is devoted to the perfection of the body and the mastery of the mind over body. The monk is an expert in unarmed combat, be it wrestling, boxing, kung fu, or any other of the martial arts styles. Some monks' dedication to the martial arts flows from a strong spirituality and they often live by stringent personal or organizational codes of conduct. Others show only disdain for religion and structure, but look to training and personal perfection to bring their lives meaning. While there is no standard that a monk must follow, all are devoted to the use of the body as the best weapon on the field and the mind's control of the body as the best weapon of all. Monks seek a perfect balance between physical strength and mental control of the body. When in unison, the monk has achieved the perfection, unbeatable weapon, but the path to attain this state is difficult and exhausting. Only those with great stamina and fortitude achieve it. To achieve a harmonious balance of mind and spirit, the monk must not be susceptible to wild urges, emotions, or other distracting mental conditions. A physical and mental harmony must be maintained in order to function at peak ability. To manage this, a monk will usually adhere to their code, master routines necessary to train the body and mind to work together, and undertake strict physical and mental regimens of purification required to achieve perfect control of the body. The monk generally prefers to engage only in hand to hand combat. Some might use a simple or mundane weapons that appear innocuous, but when mastered, become deadly extensions of the body. The choice of weapon reflects a philosophy common to all monks, the desire to take that which is commonly perceived as weak and harmless and mold it into something strong and lethal. Monks cannot wear bulky, heavy armors or objects that weigh them down and restrict their movement. Instead, they rely upon their speed and skill at predicting foes' movements and attacks so as to deflect and avoid blows intended to inflict mortal harm. Their abilities: fast movement. A monk moves faster than normal. A monk carrying a medium or heavy load loses this extra speed and moves at 30 feet. See the monk special abilities chart for the monk's movement rate. Hand to hand combat. A monk specializes in hand to hand combat, be it boxing, brawling, wrestling, or complex discipline martial arts. This martial skill imparts the unique ability to attack with hand, foot, or other body part, or the whole body, and aids in defense. The monk's hand to hand attacks and damage are shown in the monk's special abilities table. A monk begins with a single hand to hand attack, and at 6th level gains an additional offhand secondary attack. The amount of damage these attacks inflict is shown on the table. A monk character may choose whether damage inflicted by a successful hand to hand attack inflicts normal damage or subdual dual damage, as described in the damage entry, the Castle Keepers, and the game section of this book. A monk's martial skill and body control allows him to use his body for defense. A monk's base armor class increases with experience as indicated on the table. The monk adds +2 to all overbearing and grappling attacks. Iron body. A monk's training and bodily control creates a hardiness and toughness that makes the monk more resistant than normal to harmful toxins and diseases, as well as the effects of control, paralysis, or kill. At 1st level, the character gains a +1 bonus to saving throws versus disease, poison, paralysis, polymorph, petrification, and death attack. The bonus increases to +2 at 3rd level, +3 at 6th level, +4 at 10th level, and +5 at 15th. Stunning attacks. Monks can focus a hand to hand attack so as to stun an opponent. The monk must declare use of the stun attack before making the attack roll. A foe successfully struck by the attack must make a Constitution saving throw or be stunned and unable to attack for 1d4 rounds. Those struck by a stun attack take normal, unarmored attack damage. The monk can use this ability once per round, but no more than once per level per day. A missed attack counts against the monk's daily limitation of use of the ability. The first stun attack must be a primary attack, be it by hand or weapon. Deflecting missiles. At second level, a monk's reflexes and body control allows him the ability to deflect non-magical missiles, including but not limited to arrows, axes, bolos, bolts, bullets, clubs, daggers, darts, hammers, harpoons, javelins, nets, rocks, and spears. The monk must have at least one hand free to use this ability. When the monk would normally be hit by a ranged weapon, the monk can attempt to deflect the attack by making a dexterity check. If the check succeeds, the monk deflects the weapon and suffers no damage. This can be done once per round for levels 2 to 5, twice per round for levels 6 to 10, 3 times per round for levels 11 to 15, 4 times per round for 16 to 19, and 5 times per round for levels 20 and up. The monk must be aware of the attack to use the ability, and attempt to deflect a ranged weapon counts as the monk's primary unarmed attack. If a monk is high enough level to have a secondary unarmed attack, the monk may still make a secondary attack if the deflect missile ability has only been used once or twice. If 3 or more missiles are deflected, the secondary attack is considered used. This ability cannot be used against siege weapon ammunition. Okay, so no ballista blocking or swatting away. Iron Fists. Beginning at third level, a monk has begun to master his martial ability to such an extent that his unarmed attack strike, as if dealt by a magical weapon. Thus, a monk can strike and damage creatures hit only by magic weapons. At third level, the monk's unarmed attack is equal to a +1 magic weapon. This improves as the monk rises in levels as follows: +2 at 5, +3 at 8, +4 at 12th, and +5 at 17th. This ability does not confer an actual bonus to hit and damage. Slow fall. At fourth level, a monk's body control allows him to slow his fall if within 10 feet of a vertical surface. By using the wall or surface, the monk breaks his fall and takes less damage than normal. The damage is reduced as if the fall were 20 feet shorter than it actually is. As a monk progresses in level, the damage reduction increases as follows: 25 feet at 6th level, 30 feet at 9th level, 35 feet at 13th level, and 40 feet at 18th level. So for an example, if a first level monk is falling, I'm sorry, not a first level monk, if a fourth level monk is falling into a 20-foot pit trap, with the 20-foot reduction in the actual falling, he would essentially take no damage at all, as if not having fell. Still be in the pit, but take no falling damage whatsoever. Once you get to 6th level, it would be a 25-foot fall that he would be able to negate if falling, if there's a surface that he can grab onto and slow his fall, and so on. Feign death. At 6th level, a monk has mastered over vital body functions and can slow them until he or she appears to be dead. The monk may maintain this state of feigned death for a number of minutes equal to the character's level. Fast healing. At 7th level, A monk's body naturally heals faster than normal. Each day, a monk heals D4 plus 1 hit points per level as long as rest, sleep, and meditation is possible. The monk must be in a calm environment under no physical duress or mental stress, able to sleep undisturbed for 12 hours, and generally rest without exertion for another 6 hours. Food and water should be readily available. All right, so essentially it takes 18 hours of downtime, but they will recover basically um, D4 plus one 7 times. So you'd roll it 7 times to see how much they would heal over that amount of time. A pretty significant amount. The maximum would be 35 hit points. If you did, if you managed to roll D4 plus one and got fives across the board at seventh level, 35 hit points maximum. Iron Mind. At ninth level, a monk gains a +3 bonus to saving throws against confusion, charm, fear, and spells that affect the mind. The bonus increases to +4 at 11th and +5 at 14th. Death Strike. At 10th level, a monk gains a fearsome attack capable of dealing death with a single blow. The monk can use this attack once per week. The attack must be announced before an attack roll is made. The monk must be of higher level than the target or have more levels than the target's hit dice. If the monk successfully deals damage with the attack, the death strike succeeds, and unless the victim makes a constitution check, the victim is immediately slain. At 12th level, after a successful death strike, the monk can choose to delay the victim's death by up to 1 round per level. The monk merely wills the target to die at any point within the allotted time. However, if the monk wishes, the monk need not inflict death on his victim. Instead, the monk can release the victim from the death sentence upon a successful touch attack. For example, a 12th level monk, upon successfully striking a 5th level fighter, the monk can will the fighter to die anytime within the following 12 rounds. Or the monk can release the fighter from the death strike by successfully touch attack. The death strike has no effect on undead, oozes, elementals, or creatures that can only be struck by magic weapons unless the monk is able to hit the creature with the Iron Fist's ability. Okay, so basically you have the five-finger death punch that was in the Kill Bill movie. There, that delayed death. So that's pretty cool, and this predates that movie as well. So, um, a pretty cool effect though. So their prime attribute is Constitution. Their hit die is a D12. Their alignment is any, so that's a difference from Dungeons and Dragons. When they were introduced, they had to be lawful of some kind. Uh, for a class that's not using a whole lot of weapons, I mean, they certainly have a whole lot of weapons that they can use. So that's the one thing that I see here that's kind of disconnected, and I don't see staff, but I I know hafted hook, hand axe. I don't necessarily see a staff here, so that's there it is. I'm sorry. There is staff right there. Eyes are failing me. Their abilities, I already went over those. So let's take a look at these special ability charts that they have here. So their basic attack abilities here you have at level 1, they have 12 a d12 hit die, no basic to hit bonus, but it does start picking up at level 2 and it goes 1 for every single level, going from level 2 to level 12. But here we have their specialty chart. So here we have at level 1, you're going to have a base armor class of an 11, which is 1 higher than normal. Your primary attack is only going to do a d4, and your fast move is 35 feet. That at level 2 goes to 12, a d6 for damage, and a 35 feet movement, and so on and so forth. So, and then at level 12 and beyond, you would have a 15 armor class as a base. Primary attack would do d10, your secondary attack would do d6, and your fast movement would be 60 feet of fast movement, provided that you're not either medium or heavy encumbered. So there we have the monk class for Castles and Crusades. Uh, Very interesting. A lot of different abilities as they progress up through level. That really does start to become quite unique compared to any of the other classes and such. I can certainly see this character class being played um, with those subduals and the stuns and knocking characters out instead of killing and such, but you still have that backup of that that death punch that you can delay, which really does create a nice a social interaction role playing kind of situation if you're trying to interrogate someone. And you bring out the monk, and I was like, all right, hit him with the death punch and make him realize that he only has minutes to live before you'll either release him or just let him die from that strike. So pretty cool stuff, really interesting. I would certainly like to focus on different interpretations, cultural interpretations of monks, and see how that how you can role play that and work that into the game setting that you're in. Um, that's part of the reason why I chose this image here, was that it's not your typical um, karate movie, you know, um, 36 Chambers of Shaolin kind of figure here. So you see someone who is at least culturally, and possibly racially different than what you would stereotypically think of when you think of Orient adventures and monks and that kind of a setting. So again, you can bend these to whatever kind of cultural identity that you want, and work it in. Take a look at their mundane weapons that they would most likely use, and you know, really fun class, I think, to try to play as. Certainly not a out of the box. Um, Here it is, just play it like straight up. Probably have to put a little bit more forethought into how you're going to play this class. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for joining as always. Uh, like, subscribe, share, comments, do all of those things there, and keep on gaming out there. I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. Uh, I just played my first. I just played my first session of Castles and Crusades as a player last night. Really a lot of fun. It was on the Foundry VTT, which was really the first time that I've used that, and kind of like that integration. I'm glad that I had purchased that back in August, but it seems to really be coming forward. And although I'm playing a cleric, I'm not playing a monk. Um, but really excited about that. So, Castles and Crusades is really really becoming my go-to fantasy role-playing game. And now as a player, I'm starting to see it, and it's really encouraging me to start to get on uh, creating for my eventual campaign, running Castles and Crusades. sometime in September or October, wherever that's going to fall for me. So, as always, thanks for joining. Have a great day. Take care.